Species and extinction and loss of biodiversity, a nature and human problem. Human activities have been affected our world in the last few years. These actions take place in the atmosphere, soil, the air, and living beings. Most of us don't take care about what our acts have important consequences, and most of them cannot be reserved. To begin with, the Earth planet ecosystems depend on plant and animal species as their foundations. When a species becomes endangered, it is a sign that the ecosystem is slowly falling apart. Each species its a loss triggers the loss of their species within its ecosystem. Humans depend on healthy ecosystems to purify our environment. For example, populations of wild animals have been more than halved since 1970, while the human population has doubled. In this essay, we will focus on the impact of our uncontrolled activities on wildlife around the world. Extinction happens when the environmental factors or evolutionary problems cause a species to die out. The disappearance of a species from Earth is ongoing, and rates have been varied over time. A quarter of mammals is at risk of extinction, according to the IUCN Red List estimates. Humans also cause other species to become extinct by hunting, over-harvesting, introducing invasive species to the wild, polluting and changing wetlands and forests to crawl plants, and urban areas. Even the rapid growth of the human population is causing extinction by ruining natural habitats, although relatively these things will be taken in depth as we move forward.
All around the world, a lot of species are getting extinct, so the biodiversity as well as the genetic diversity, which are the basis for the future generations of living beings. A species can be an animal or even a plant, doesn't matter, even us, the humans, because it refers to any kind of life that exists on Earth. It can get into danger, resulting in a species of extinction, which is an organism that can get extinguished in the future even if it is near or far. Since many years ago, species have been disappearing, and a proof are the dinosaurs, that were a group of reptiles that dominated the land for over 140 million years, and they evolved into many shapes and sizes. Their extinction is due to many processes, but mainly the naturals. However, during the last years, the human has been having interference that has multiplied the extinction rate. The ecological disturbances, such as the deforestation and erosion of lands, and the volcanic eruptions, as well as the human action, have provoked damage into the trophic chain, adulterating all the system in which species are immersed. So nowadays, the species extinction also related to the problems like the pollution or the lack of food, we can say that it confirms that it is directly linked with violent actions like the animal hunt and the illegal commerce of savage species, such as the lion and the tiger. So the introduction of exotic species into specific grounds or the use of them with the objective to entertain people, just like the circus. So the average of endangered species is constantly increasing, and it is because of us, which is very illogical.
That the extinction of species has become a problem of great gravity today, since the communities of different important species of animals that are essential for humanity are dissolving. That the hypothesis that we have is that the present is a consequence of the intervention of human beings and natural phenomena, since among causes are hunting, deforestation, and contamination of biodiversity, as well as climate change and global warming.
Species extinction. In a general way, we can say that extinction is the missing of a species, even if it's vegetal or animal, in a permanent manner over our planet, so it is a process that can't get reversed. Once it happens, it is done. A million years ago, the extinctions were product of natural disasters, but through the years, it has been possible to see that a human is collaborating a lot with them. So now, it is common to say that this problem is mainly caused by actions that us the humans do. Some of these causes are multiple factors that impact into this problem. The most natural is the natural selection, as Charles Darwin explained on his oh, okay. Unfortunately, it got adulterated by the changes in the environment, just like the climate changes that have been occurring due to us and our responsibility. But, however, the species extinction is a natural process, and we can prove it with the different articles that we can find about the fossil remains. But now there is another cause, which is, in our opinion, is the main one, the human interference. So we can identify these two types of causes, the natural ones and the anthropogenic ones. Into the natural causes, we have the climatic heating and cooling, which is the increase in the temperature or the disease on it. Climate change is caused by several things, and the effect that it has on extinction is too big, and the biodiversity on Earth cannot keep up with the rapid changes in temperature and climate. So the species are not accustomed to severe weather conditions and long seasons, or a changing chemical makeup of their surroundings. That's why into more warmer climates, we're used to present they are perfect for diseases and epidemics to thrive. Changes in sea levels. The changes in sea levels is a result in part of the melting fresh water caused by the climate heating. The denser, saltier water sinks and forms the currents that marine life depends on. So the gases from the volcanic activity can also be absorbed by the water, thus changing the chemical composition, making it unsuitable for some life. Acid rain is a form of the rain when it is contaminated mainly by sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides. These chemicals are absorbed by water droplets in the clouds and eventually fall to the earth as acid precipitation, which increases the acidity of the soil affecting plant life. A spread of invasive species such as the mosquitoes use the resources that the other species depend on. So it starts the competition, which gets too great, and the survival of the fittest plant will begin, and one of the species, usually the natural one, will die. Cosmic radiation is a radiation that is emitted from outer space and the sun. This radiation, it is said that when you are exposed too much time, you can get damage into your genes and also your health. Alteration of the environment. This is an event that takes place when what surrounds us is affected by some other action in some way. For example, when we use fertilizers on land, we can damage the soil, causing the desertification or erosion, which provokes some vegetal life to lose their nutrients and well-being. Pollution. Pollution is a big concept that involves water, air, and soil pollution. For example, the water pollution is commonly caused by the fluids that arrive to the sea or to the ocean, even to some rivers due to the waste products that fabrics expose through some tubes. So the aquatic life gets damaged. Air pollution is another kind of contamination mainly caused by us, the humans, and the industrial activities. Global warming. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane are building up in Earth's atmosphere. They trap heat and contribute to a worldwide rise in temperature, known as global warming. A study made by the University of Connecticut at the United States published in the Science Journal that the climate change is accelerating the extinction, and as the climate change by itself will cause the disappearance of nearly 8% of the current species. Consequences of species extinction. There is no doubt that the decline in the numbers of large predators like sharks, lions, and wolves is disrupting Earth's ecosystem in all kinds of unusual ways. This because they are more vulnerable due to they live longer, reproduce slower than other species. A study that was conducted by 22 scientists confirmed that 6 mass extinction. They state that this mass extinction differs from previous ones because it is entirely driven by human activity through changes in land use, climate, pollution, hunting, fishing, among others. This can be explained with the wolves of Jolly Park, which was a case that occurred in 1930 when the wolves were hunted in a massive way. This event repercussed into some other species as the elk and deer which had preyed upon thrived, and their grazing decimated streamside willows and aspens, which had provided habitat for songbirds. Later, in 1985, when the wolves were reintroduced, they once again preyed on the elk. Plant life returned to the stream banks, and along with it, birds, beavers, fish, and other animals. Now, some alternatives for reducing species extinction are not to use plastic, consume organic food, and try to avoid cosmetics that could include skins from animals that are in danger. But first of all, every human has to be conscious of its actions, but mostly about the importance of having other living beings that coexist with us, as well as the role they have for our lives and the respect we need to have for them. Once having this, we are able to take actions for changing this situation. Also, there are some worldwide organizations that are just taking some several actions for protecting a species and for preventing extinction, just like the World Wildlife, that works to save at-risk wildlife from around the globe. They protect and connect the habitat of endangered tigers, stop poaching of the critically endangered black rhino, and fight back against the illegal trade of ivory from vulnerable African elephants.
Conclusion. Among all the factors that put certain animal species at risk, there is one factor that affects all equally, and that is the destruction of the natural habitat in which these species live. From an economic and environmental point of view, this is a big problem, because as the quality of the land decreases, we get less water, reducing the yield of the cultivated soil, and the result is less fertile land. A serious consequence of the destruction of the land is the deforestation around the world, which is used for agricultural purposes such as logging and housing. This problem is becoming more serious. Forests are being lost as a result climate change has intensified. The loss of biodiversity and the extinction of species have increased. At the same time, there are significant conflicts between many animals and farmers, making it extremely difficult to protect the environment. So we must be vigilant and try to make changes. Use better resources, use fewer resources such as firewood, fuel, and food, and try to eat more vegetables because they require less land.
The concept of species in danger of extinction practically since the beginning of time has been allowed. The survival of the strongest, the fittest, the survival of the most adapted, the most intelligent is almost as equal as the life of uneven development of things, animals, people, countries, nations, continents in the world that we have lived. Since its inception, it has been a matter of obviously natural historical relevance, closely related to the development of species. Since the extinction that we know in a literal way as the extinction of the dinosaurs caused by a disaster of astronomical significance in the one that almost was destroyed in a very high percentage, the animal and vegetal species. With the passage of millions of years, animal life and plant life regenerate again, and species more developed than others, more adapted to the changes of each other, and others were developing levels of intelligence far above the rest, specifically the human species that has had an exponentially incredible development in relation to other species of animal life, undoubtedly far below the insects that exceeded in a greater mass than the human species. However, the development of his brain has allowed him to become apparently superior to others, which has led him to have a higher rate of destruction on animal and plant life on this planet called Earth. This level of destruction that human beings have carried out has gone hand in hand with its industrial and technological development, with the alarming destruction of the habitat that houses it, destroying animal and plant species in the process, justifying itself in the generation of wealth. The human species is a serious danger to other species and to itself.